Hello, and welcome to another episode of the FemiNinja Project. And thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I have a fascinating and fabulous guest with me today. Her name is Betsy Pepine. She is a best selling author, founder, CEO, and serial entrepreneur in real estate who is passionate about helping at risk families with children. She founded a 501c3 nonprofit foundation called Pepine Gives, which helps families facing housing insecurity. Her best selling book is titled Breaking Boxes: Dismantling the Metaphorical Boxes That Bind Us. Betsy's work is endorsed by Shark Tank's Barbara Corcoran, as well as media personalities Dave Ramsey and Glenn Beck. But there's a lot more to her story than this, and so we're just going to turn it over to her. Betsy, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Cheryl. Happy to be here.
And thank you for bringing your little furry friends. They will
Yes,
pop
they
up a
will be
little bit,
joining us
yeah,
off and
every now and again in the
on.
background, and we love them. The dogs and the cats are always welcome on the show.
Nice. Thank you.
So, why don't you just share with our listeners how you became interested in real estate to begin with?
Oh, okay. So that's a second career for me. Like it is actually most people in real estate, it is
Mhm.
usually a second or third career. The minority of people enter real estate, as their first career. Um, but uh when I was 31, I found myself suddenly single and suddenly laid off from a corporate
Oh,
job. And I had 1 and 2 year old daughters
oh,
and had to figure out how to redefine myself. I was working in the Northeast in the pharmaceutical industry and had a wonderful job and career path, but at the time I just didn't have any family support and I felt
mhm,
like I needed with 1 and 2 year olds and working full time, I just felt like I needed family nearby.
yeah.
So I made the decision to move home to it's funny when I say I moved home, people think I moved back to my hometown, which I did, but I
Uh-huh.
literally moved back into my childhood bedroom, and my daughters were in my what were my sister's bedrooms growing up, and we stayed there for 6 months just for me to really just kind of assess life. I
Hmm.
just having curveballs. I'm not a victim at all, but the rug can be pulled out from under you at times,
Right, right.
and so you just have to kind of regroup. But anyway, um, after that process, I decided that perhaps God, universe, source was hinting that I wasn't on the path that I was meant to be on. And
Hmm.
so I thought, so Florida doesn't have a strong pharmaceutical industry in terms of corporate headquarters, and that's what I was used to doing. So I decided to pursue real estate. I had always liked real estate, and I was really fortunate when I was in graduate school getting an MBA. I was able to take a class for credit, surprisingly, where we went into row homes in West Philadelphia and we
Oh,
gutted them.
wow.
Yeah, we got to gut the row home, rebuild it, renovate it from the walls in with donated supplies and mostly donated labor, which was us. And then we got to quote unquote sell it to a family at risk for costs, which was very minimal because
Hmm.
most of the things were donated. So I got to see firsthand what a house does for a family. I mean, it provides so much more than shelter.
Hmm.
It changes health outcomes, it changes educational status, it changes quality of life metrics. It's just the foundation of so many more things. And so when I was reevaluating my own life and what impact I wanted to make, I decided to try real estate. And I gave myself 2 years. And I had my plan B was to go back. We have a large healthcare center here, and I would just go into the healthcare center and work in marketing, which was my background, marketing pharmaceuticals. So that was my plan. And I was very fortunate. I knew I would like real estate. I didn't realize I would love it. I had always thought that idea you hear, oh, do what you love and everything works out. I never really believed that, but I truly was doing what I loved and everything did work out. So I am now a firm believer that you can make a living and support your family doing what you love,
Hmm.
which is something I wish I had known when I was 2021. But anyway, that's how I got into real estate.
Mhm. And when did you decide to open up the or to start the 501c3? I would imagine that there'd be a lot of, what bureaucracy and or
Yeah.
hoops to jump through when you do
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. So it took me a while. I got into real estate in 2006, and I did not start the nonprofit until 2018. So what is that, 14 years?
Hmm.
Um, because what happened was it was a progression. So one of the core values of my brokerage was it used to be service, and we were
Hmm.
very involved in service activity. And we asked our agents what were they passionate about because we wanted to make sure, and we still do, we want to make sure that we are doing service in areas that support the entire group of us, not just what I'm passionate about.
Hmm.
But over the years, I found that we were just doing a little bit and making a little bit of impact in a variety of areas. And several years into having the company, I realized the whole point for me to do service is to have
Hmm.
impact.
Hmm.
And how could we have greater impact? And I felt like the way we could have greater impact is if we funneled all of our service efforts into one area.
Hmm.
And so it made sense given the class that I took at Wharton and now having been in the industry for so long and further seeing how housing impacts families,
Hmm.
what better way to serve a community than in the area that we already are that we're in. So let's
Hmm.
help families that need our services but can't afford them through the
Hmm.
front door,
Hmm.
right? And let's help them through the back door. And so that's kind of how the genesis of it. Creating the actual nonprofit was surprisingly easier than I thought. There wasn't, at least in Florida, there was not a lot of red tape. I mean, it was a couple of
Wow.
forms, um, opening up the bank account, getting the right accreditation, and then we were up and running. So I was actually very pleasantly surprised by that. I would have opened it sooner had I known
Hmm.
there weren't a lot of roadblocks for us. And then it's grown from there. So now we have a partnership with Habitat for Humanity. Are you familiar with
Hmm.
Habitat?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a partnership with Habitat and we partner with them to build homes. We fundraise all year to
Hmm.
sponsor the house build, the cost of the house build. And then we work alongside Habitat volunteers, staff, as well as the homeowners,
Hmm.
and help build their homes. What I love is that it is a hand up, not a handout. I'm not a big
Yeah.
proponent of handouts, but it's a hand up. Um, the candidates are screened heavily because we want to tee them up for success. The last thing
Right.
we want to do is have to foreclose on them.
Right.
And there's a myth that they get these houses for free and they don't. They
Hmm.
they pay appraised value, but Habitat has such great resources and they know every program under the sun that a family can qualify for. So they get, you know, 0 to 2% loans. They get great
Wow.
down payment assistance.
Hmm.
So it's very affordable for them to get in the home. And then they
Hmm.
have to do 240 hours of service on their home. And they have to take classes in home finance and how to maintain your home. Again, because
Wow.
most of these people have never owned a home. And so
Yeah.
it really sets them up for success. And so that's been so meaningful for us to be able to see that and to be a part of that.
Well, I think most people, when they buy a home, just outright buying a home, have no idea what is involved in, how to plan for, repairs, to finance things, what to look for.
Yeah.
And, things just pop up and it's like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like parenting, you have the baby and most people surprise, I mean, and it's always amazing to me. To me, the most critical skills for life, we are not taught in
Right.
school. How
Yeah.
to manage money, how to manage your house, how to manage a family, how to manage relationships. That's not taught in our basic curriculum.
Hmm.
So anyway, but yes, so that's how the 501c3 came to
Yeah.
be.
Well, we did have home ec in my day and we all learned how to make aprons. Boy, now is that a life skill you cannot live without?
That's funny. We had home ec in seventh grade, and we cooked, and I think we
Mhm.
we mended socks.
Oh, we didn't mend things, but we did make the aprons, and I do remember baking a cake. And all I could think of was, this is a little stupid. And, I remember we're baking this cake and we're all looking out the window with our home ec teacher, and it was just starting to snow. I'm from Pennsylvania, Western
Okay.
PA. And it was just starting to snow. It was like November. And we're looking out, oh, yay, snow. And our home ec teacher actually said, the older you get, the faster the seasons go, and they all seem to blend together. And I'm like, oh my God, it must be horrible to be that old. And, of course, she was probably 22, 23. But that's
Yeah.
the only thing I really remember is the aprons, the cake, and one of my friends was working the sewing machine and got the needle stuck in her finger.
Oh,
Got to go
ooh,
home for the day.
wow.
Yeah, so that was it. So
Yeah.
then how did you go from, I mean, this is just, you're still doing the 501c, right?
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
just so amazing. I mean, I
Hmm.
just, if people wanted to get involved or help or
Yeah.
donate, do you have
Yes.
something where
Yep.
a
Our
place where they
website,
could go? Yeah.
pepinegives.com, and you can donate. You can donate supplies, money, labor. Yeah.
Hmm.
Ideas.
Oh, well, that helps too. Okay. And then when did you decide it was time to write a book? What was the,
Mm.
trigger for that or
Yeah.
the
So,
motivating factor? Because writing a book is
so
really not for the faint of heart. Let's just put it to you that way.
okay, and the book has most people, because I'm known for real estate, basically
Hmm.
all things real estate. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have a lot of different companies that all revolve around real estate. So when people heard that I wrote a book, they thought it was like a how-to book on building a brokerage, selling a home, being a real estate agent, whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It was a passion project of mine. Um, and the genesis of that was about, I'm 56. In my mid 40s, I started feeling discontent and spent several years trying to process it, understand it, couldn't figure it out, thought I had checked off all the boxes of being successful in our country, and
Hmm.
why wasn't I thus happy?
Hmm.
And through a variety of different modalities, including but not limited to one-on-one therapy, journaling, meditation, yoga, EMDR,
Hmm.
biometrics work. I mean, I was open to everything and still am.
Hmm.
Um, what I uncovered was that my source of discontentment came from this feeling of confinement. And I compare it to if you've ever had the misfortune of ordering a bed mattress from Amazon. It arrives at your doorstep in a
Yes.
box.
Hmm.
And you lug that box inside, you rip it open, and lo and behold, 2 days later, the mattress has expanded to the size that it was meant to be, right? Well, I
Okay.
felt like I was that mattress in the box, dying
Ah.
to get out, not being the size I was meant to be. And
Hmm.
I think as we get older, we realize time is not unlimited.
Yes.
And so I was starting to feel anxiety about, wait a minute, this is not how I want to continue on this journey. And so I started journaling these stories, like when was I feeling most confined? And people say, well, what do you mean by metaphorical boxes? And I deal, and I think the reason why that came to me was because I deal with boxes every day in real
Hmm.
estate, and
Hmm.
boxes are meant to keep things, protected things safe
Hmm.
in transition, which they do. But I think as humans in these metaphorical boxes, or I would take up residence in them and forget that they were designed to be temporary. And then
Mm.
when they no longer serve their purpose, broken down and taken to the curb for the garbage folks,
Right.
right? And so I would stay in these boxes, and the boxes are to me are the attitudes, beliefs, and the opinions of your family of origin, your
Hmm.
religion, your gender, your industry, your peer group. I mean, just we are bombarded with, in the society in which we live, we are bombarded with institutions and people and ourselves telling us
Hmm.
who and what we should be and who and what we should or who what we should think, how we should act.
Hmm.
And so that is, and so then the book was just birth. I mean, it was coming. That's what I tell people. It's like my second child was just coming. Like I couldn't,
Hmm.
the doctor said, don't push. I'm like, I'm sorry, she's coming, right? So that felt like the book was coming, whether I wanted it to or not. I just felt like I had to get it out of me.
Hmm.
And because the more I was sharing my stories with others, especially women, they were sharing with me their own stories, and it was such a universal um, dilemma, but one that's not talked about a lot. And so that's
Mhm.
why I wrote the book, because my whole mission in life is to improve and empower the lives of others, especially women and children. And I thought, okay, if I write this book and if one person's life is changed, if they look at their life in a different way, they look at their relationships in a different way, if it improves one reader's life in one way, the effort will have been worth it. And so
Mhm.
that's how the book came to fruition.
So I'm really curious when you were talking to other people, other women, about what they were going through and they're experiencing. Were they all in about the same age group, or did you get a wide spread of different ages?
Um, a widespread, um, I would say, I mean, adults. I wasn't asking
Oh, of
kids,
course, yes.
but looking back, I can see the box. I mean, the boxes start. I don't think I wrote about this in the book, but and I'm sure people disagree with me, but the boxes start before you're born.
Hmm.
I don't think you and I had gender reveal parties for our children. That wasn't a thing.
Right.
But now when women are pregnant, they often have these gender reveals. And I personally am not a favor of those because I am thinking to myself, what message are we sending? This baby is not even born.
Hmm.
And we are excited not because the baby is healthy, right? We're
Hmm.
excited because of the baby is either one gender or not, or we're disappointed because the
Right.
gender is not what we were hoping. So the baby's not even born yet, and we're already imprinting it.
Hmm.
Um, so that boxes start there and just continue on from there. And so no, I didn't talk to people younger than adults, but I did see the problem, not the problem, but the issue is universal to all of us, and not just
Hmm.
women, not just women.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because I have a young friend who just got pregnant and she was all excited about it. And yeah, it's like very exciting time, but
Yeah.
also very terrifying.
Yeah. Well, I have a girlfriend who, her daughter just had a baby, and she was so hoping for a girl, and it
Oh,
was a boy. And I had asked, I said, well, why does she want a girl? And she's like, well, she's foo-foo. She wants a girl. And I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, like so many girls aren't foo-foo. So many
hmm.
boys aren't the traditional masculine men. Why does it matter? Why are we already trying to pigeonhole
Hmm.
a
It's
beautiful entity that's not even here yet?
right. When my youngest sister was expecting her first child, and she kept talking, well, she's, still in Pennsylvania. And so we would be talking on the phone, and she said, and then, he's going to do this, and he. And she kept saying, he, I come from a family of five girls. So I have four sisters, there's not a he anywhere. And finally I said, you do realize that it might be a girl. And she
Yeah.
was just flabbergasted. And finally she says, well, if it is, yeah, I'm going to raise her like a jock anyway. And of course, the little girl was very feminine and frilly and stuff. And then she did outgrow that and became the athlete that my sister knew she would be. It's really funny.
That's funny.
I know. But yes, people put expectations on us, I think, even before we're born.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then, of course, when, I'm number three out of five, and after the two were there, it's like, okay, we have these expectations goes to each child.
Yeah.
It's almost, yeah, you follow the script,
Hmm.
you follow the routine. I did everything. I have two older sisters, and the one closest to me is just 14 months older than I am.
Yeah.
So, we were so close in age that I followed in everything that she did, including career choice, which really wasn't the greatest choice in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was like all the decisions had been made, and
Right.
I couldn't fight it because it was
Yeah.
like, well, this is what you will do. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Family of origin boxes are very strong. I was speaking with a gentleman, and one I had not even that had not even occurred to me because I was asking him what he had found, and he came from, I think his name was John, and he was like John the third. And
Hmm.
so he had a boy, and
Hmm.
he said the family expectation was he would be John the fourth, and he stopped it, and he said his family didn't talk to him for months because he
Wow.
broke that tradition over a name. And like, that's not something that I had dealt with, but I was like, wow, that's interesting. Like everybody regardless of what family you're born into, you're born into some boxes. I had an agent that worked for me once. She was the only person in her family that had ever gone to college.
Oh, wow.
Her parents were livid with her. They ousted her because to them, she was shunning, like, oh, you're too good for us. You don't, that this is what they're thinking. You don't feel like our lifestyle is good enough for you. So we are going to ban you from the family. And I'm like, oh my gosh, a lot of families would love that
Yeah.
they saw their first child go to college. In her family, it was a disgrace. So it's
And
so interesting to me,
did they
regardless of what
ban
side
her?
you're coming from, you have these stories.
Did they really ban her?
They did.
Wow.
It was I mean, I think it's crazy, but I mean, it's just everyone has there's just
Everybody has
expectations when
their
you're born.
expectations,
Right.
exactly, and their program.
Yeah.
And this is your program. This is her program, and
Yeah.
being that we were all girls, we all had the same program. At least the first three girls. There were my mom had three of us in 4 years. The first three
Oh, wow.
girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, woof, a
Yeah.
lot of girl energy. And then there was 5 years later, she had my younger sister, and 9 years later, she had my youngest.
Oh my
So the
gosh.
options that we had, because my mom really wanted, us to all to go to college. And my dad was an immigrant. He was from Czechoslovakia, and
Okay.
he and my grandmother got out. They were on the last ship out of Calais before they closed the port.
Oh, wow.
So they left on December 29th, 1939. So, you know, and my
Wow.
father is going, my mom's like, well, they go to college and when they're going to go to college. And, she didn't. And my dad's like, they don't need to go to college. They're girls. They're just going to get married. They don't need to go to college. And so it was a point of contention for quite a while. And my mother was devastated because she really wanted us to go to college.
Yeah.
And my dad came home from work one day and said, I've been thinking about it and I think they should go to college. And my mom's like, yay, praise the Lord. And what changed your mind? And I'm going to use clean language for the show. He says, well, I was thinking if one of them marries up, you know, let's just say jackass, then
Yeah.
at least she would have something to fall back on so she could work. And it was like, well, that was very practical. And then, of course, that got my mom starting. What are they going to go to school for? So the only feminine professions that she knew of was either nursing or teaching.
Oh,
So everything else was off limits and would not even be considered because girls and
wow.
women just didn't do that. The other thing would be maybe secretarial work, but you didn't need a college degree for that. So the ironic thing is, out of the three of us older girls, my oldest sister is a school teacher. My second sister, she got a degree in medical technology and ended up getting into medical, publishing. And then
Okay.
I, of course, was a respiratory therapist. And then I went
Oh,
back and got my master's in PT, but it was like, well, that was ordained. But, I would have
yeah.
liked to have done something like with fashion or something prettier than working in hospitals because they can be icky.
Yeah.
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 And very sad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm not a doctor. I grew up in a family of my dad's a physician and we were told we were going to be physicians. And I grew up
Wow.
working in hospitals. I mean, volunteering in hospitals.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
like, this is too depressing. I can't
Yeah.
do this.
It's definitely not a happy place.
Yeah.
But I mean, I enjoyed it after I got used to the shock of all of
Yeah.
it, of what I would be doing. And it was nice. I felt satisfied just being able to help people, feel a little bit better, at least make them smile when things weren't going well for them. But yeah, I can still remember things. I mean, that was a long time ago. I'm 69 and I left RT when I was probably, oh my gosh, not even quite 40. But I can still remember a lot of the patients' names and the faces.
Wow.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast, but I
Yeah.
could remember that.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay, so when you did write the book and you published the book, tell us
Mhm.
about the process of doing it. Because as I said before, writing a book is definitely not for the faint of heart.
No, no. Yeah, you're right there. Well, I gave myself a year. The book was, formulating in my head for
Uh huh.
years.
Yeah.
But when I truly committed to writing a book, I said, okay, this is kind of how I work with any project. I said, okay, give myself a timeline. So I gave myself a year. And I said, well, how can I break it down into smaller chunks that don't seem overwhelming? So I committed to an hour a day,
Mm,
5 days a week for a year.
hmm.
And that got me, an hour would get me about, how many words? I don't remember, but
Hmm.
it made it to be about 200, 250 pages by the end, which is what my goal was. And so I did that. And then the other thing I like to do with any project is I'm a big believer of not reinventing the wheel and staying in my lane. So I'm like, okay, who has gone before me that can help me, or I can pay to help me in terms of knowledge, and what is the process? And so I hired a book coach, and I had to submit 20 pages every other week, I believe, to her. And that kept me accountable.
Hmm.
But she was also somebody who does this for a living. And so she could tell me, especially somebody who doesn't know me. So she was reading it like a reader would.
Hmm.
Betsy, you didn't explain this. What did you mean by that? This doesn't flow. I didn't real like, cause you would just, when you write about your personal life, you write things and you realize, oh, wait a minute, people don't understand that context. So it was
Right.
great to have that. And so when that was finished, I explored, well, I did try. I went on, there's a website and I don't remember what it's called right now, but you can buy a membership into it and you can see all of the publishers and main editors to get an agent,
Hmm.
and you can submit your work. So I tried that and I was told that's a long shot as a first time
Hmm.
writer with no audience. I mean,
Hmm.
no, I mean, if it was real estate, maybe, but this is
Right.
not. And so I tried that. I sent out several letters. I heard back from zero, from nobody.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I'm not going to wait a year or two, hopefully, hoping to find somebody. So then I explored totally self-publishing, or what they call hybrid. And
Hmm.
so I did the hybrid route because I didn't want to invest. I didn't know how to set up an Amazon account. I didn't know how to do the, what's the other one? There's, the name is escaping me now. You need to have both accounts if you want bookstores to be able to order your book.
Yeah, Ingram Sparks,
Ingram
that
Sparks,
one.
yeah. So I didn't even know that kind of
Right.
system existed. So I hired a hybrid publisher who set up those accounts for me, connected me with an audio person who does audiobooks. So I went
Hmm.
and I flew to Chicago and video or voice recorded the audio. Um, and then the hybrid publisher laid it out, like made it look pretty,
Hmm. Hmm.
divided it into nice, the table of contents. They put the back end together. The cover design, I was not happy with. Like, they only had one graphic designer on staff, and so there's a I don't remember what it's called, but there's a platform online where you can enter it into a contest, and it's great because literally you put your amount you're willing to pay, and I think I put $500 or $600, and for 3 weeks I got hundreds and hundreds of entries for my cover design, and then if you
Nice.
like them, you can correspond directly to the graphic designer and say, hey, I like this, but can you change this or this? And they'll do reiterations for you because they want to win the money.
Right.
And then, yeah. And so then at the end of the 3 weeks, you pick your winner if you want one. And I did. And so that's how I got my cover design.
Hmm.
Um, and then that was it. And then that took that whole process. Once I finished writing the book, it took another almost, I think it was like 9.5 months to
Hmm.
get it out. Now, I wasn't in a rush. I know you
Right.
can collapse that time, but it took me another 9.5 months to get it to actually see it up on Amazon and to see it in bookstores. So that
Hmm.
was my process. And then marketing it, I mean, I have a PR company that helps me with social media. I did the book signings in the stores and things like that.
Hmm. So I really have one question for you, because once you publish and Amazon sends you, a copy of the book, or you buy a few copies, what was it like to open that box and pick up your book and hold your book for the first time and realize, oh my God, this is real?
Yeah, that was incredible.
Hmm.
A top 10 experience, I think, in my life. I mean, I don't know. And somebody suggested, and I didn't do this, but they said sometimes for motivation, they do the cover design first, and then they
Oh,
have a graphic designer, mock it up and make it look real pretty, and then they put it around a fake book, and they
uh-huh,
use that as motivation as they're writing, which I like. I did this at the very end.
uh-huh.
Um, but no, it was just incredible because I always have a vision board, and
Hmm.
I had Amazon bestselling author, like the logo on that my vision board for years,
Hmm.
years. And then and it became one. So to see that, yeah, it was just incredible. And you always say, anything material, anything physical was first a thought. But it was
Right.
just so evident, right, that this was truly, you could just manifest something from a thought.
Hmm. That's a very good point for the listeners. I mean, if you are thinking about writing a book, and I know a lot of people are, yeah, you can just bring it about. The way I did my first book and then my second book, I already had like a bunch of blog posts that I had written.
Oh,
And
nice.
so that was actually basically the, don't want to say outline, but it was the skeletal structure, let's just say,
Yeah.
for the first book. So I already had that. And then all I had to do was fill in. But, I have an editor who I dearly love, although she always likes for me or wants me to talk about my feelings. It's like, I don't have any feelings. I don't want to talk about any feelings. I'm the
Yeah.
ice maiden, no feelings. And she
Mm.
says, well, what was going through your mind or internally, what was going
Yeah.
through you when this was happening? And I'm like, look, I
Mm.
don't understand how the words, I wanted to take a baseball bat to his head, how that does not convey what was going through me internally. Okay? Can we just leave it at that?
Well, it's funny you say that because my editor said the same thing, and I'm like you. I mean, I've therapy's helped me a little bit, but I literally printed out a feelings wheel, and you can Google it, and
Mhm.
it takes your four basic feelings, and then it it kind of it's literally a wheel, and it's like, okay, if you feel X, then these which of these four words best describes it, and then you pick
Uh-huh.
one, and then it's like, okay, which of this these best four words, and it really starts. You get to see the nuances of what you're truly feeling rather than just I'm feeling good or bad or happy or
Mhm.
sad. It's
Mhm.
been wonderful. So that's funny. She said the same thing. And she also said to me,
That's
which was great feedback after she read my first 20 pages, she said,
mhm.
okay, Betsy, she said, I want you to write as though no one is ever going to read this.
Ah.
And that was great because that
Uh-huh.
changed the whole way I wrote. And I thought for sure I was going to go back and then self-correct and
Mhm.
take out things, and I didn't.
Mhm.
So I think that really helps if you just write as though no one's going to read this.
Hmm. Well, when I wrote my second book, which is a memoir about how I got involved in martial arts, and there's a lot of personal stuff in there about my journey. I mean, a lot of personal stuff. So after it was published, I realized, oh my God, I cannot get that genie back in the bottle. All
Yeah.
of this stuff is out for the world to see. And I had like horrible writer's remorse, horrible. I just curled up under the covers for about 3 weeks because it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And then I finally convinced myself that it was okay because anybody who knew me wasn't going to read the book. They're not going to buy the book. They're not going to read it. So only strangers would read the book. So that would
Yeah.
be okay. So I
Yeah.
thought, okay, good. So I crawled out from under the covers, went to the dojo the next day, and there on my sensei's desk was a copy of the book. I was like, oh, back under the covers again. But it was like, oh my God, because he was a huge part of it,
Yeah.
because that story, and he was the one of the focus points, and he was most of the he was the hero a lot of times, and a lot of times he was not.
Did you give, because it was advised and I didn't, but did you let anybody that was mentioned in the book read it before?
No, no,
Yeah, I didn't either. I
no.
had my children. I wanted to make sure my children were
Yeah,
okay with it, but that was it.
yeah, but no. And I most of the names I used were fake, but I,
Yeah.
I did use his real name.
Hmm.
And and gave him credit for it at the back of the book too. So I mean, I basically was advertising for his services and his
Yeah.
dojo. So
Yeah.
and yeah, I did. I mean, he did read it, and well, a friend of his picked it up, saw it on the desk, and started reading it. And he finally looked at my sensei and said, "Are you okay with this?" And
Yeah.
he said, "It's her story to tell." Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought that was
Well,
very
one of the
magnanimous.
hardest things I've ever done is having to push the submit button when it was, because like you said, you feel so exposed. Like I felt like I was totally naked, I
Bingo.
really did. And I think that's from what I've heard, that's common. Like I'm just,
Yeah.
if your audience is thinking about writing a book, just know that that is normal
That's
and
coming.
don't let that stop you.
Right. And it's really funny because I didn't feel quite like that with my first book, but I did feel like, oh boy, I'll bet a lot of people, since it's about fitness and, health and fitness over 50, and I'm going to have a lot of people say you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. But I thought it didn't impact me the way the second one did. But I did feel like with the second one that I had stripped myself naked,
Yeah.
went outside and walked down Main Street
Yes,
for
that's
everybody to
exactly
see
how I
every
feel.
flaw. Oh God, it's a tough feeling.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, after going through all this, do you think there's a second one in your future?
Well, I did a course. I just finished a course.
Oh, good.
So what happened was the book is a thematic memoir. Sounds like very similar to yours,
Yeah.
in terms of theme. Um, Thematic memoir, and a lot of people who read the book, while they liked the book, they were like, "How do I do this for myself? How do I get myself out of
Ah,
boxes?" And so the course is works on that with them, walking
hmm
them through how you do you identify your boxes and how do you get out of them. So I did that. Um, if I was to write a second book, I don't think, I mean, it's not like it wouldn't be a follow-up to this book. It might be more like a journaling kind
hmm
of prompt book. But if that would be the only thing from this, I don't think I would ever write a real estate book because for me, that wouldn't be, it just wouldn't be challenging. I would
Yeah.
like to do, to me, this is more of, I would want it to be a challenge, a creative endeavor.
hmm
So I don't know. I don't have an idea that would, right now, that I feel like would warrant a book and the effort that a book, I mean, it's a huge commitment. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've talked to so many other authors. Obviously, I hang out with quite a few of them, and it's almost like once you've written your first one, it's like eating, Lay's potato chips back in the day. It's like
Yeah.
you can't have just one, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
okay, I've got this one. I don't want to be a one-hit wonder. I've got to do a few more, and then you realize you've so many other things to say. So I've got actually two that I'm kind of working on right now, but
Oh,
they're
okay.
on semi-hold, because obviously I got a lot of other stuff on my plate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have two more that I really want to get done.
That tie into your thematic memoir?
Actually, yeah, the second one, the third one, okay, it would be book number three. So this book is The Reluctant Ninja. That was the second one, How a Middle-Aged Princess Became a Warrior Queen. And so the follow-up is going to be Secrets of a Warrior Queen.
Oh, good. I like it.
So, taking like the philosophy, the principles, the mindset, the awareness, the spirituality, all the things that I learned in my martial arts journey that I think would really benefit a lot of women
Hmm.
who might not want to go to a dojo and hang out in a dojo with a bunch of smelly, sweaty men,
Yeah.
for 20 years the way I did to learn all of this stuff.
Yeah. I love
You're
it.
welcome. I took the hits so you don't have to. But so I could just share that with them to help them, keep themselves safe, keep themselves more aware, and to pay attention, and even little tips to, get together with other women, their friends, and have like a ladies' ninja night to practice some of
Hmm.
these things. So it's a work in progress. I think my editor is planning on starting to work on it
Yeah.
starting January. I told her, give me another month or two. Make sure I
Yeah.
get all unpacked in my house in Excelsior, all put
Okay.
together.
Neat.
Yeah.
Very
So it's
nice.
coming. I
Love
don't know
it.
when it's coming, but it's coming.
Very nice.
Yes. So, what would you give the listeners? Like one of the take home message, not just of the book that
Hmm.
they could probably start even thinking about and start applying to their everyday life before they get the book in the mail.
I would encourage people to, um, a lot of people are unhappy, but they don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Something's, tugging at them, but they're not sure what it is. And so, um, the process that I have used is, and it sounds like you were kind of a little bit on the same path in terms of getting in touch with your feelings. And that's what my therapist had said at the beginning. It's like, how do you feel? And that's your first sign because your body will tell you before your mind that something
Mm-hmm.
is not right and
Mm.
not in alignment. And so there's a great app that you can download for free called How We Feel.
Mm.
And it's such a simple app. You can set it to vibrate as many times during the day as you want. And
Mm-hmm.
it just says, how are you feeling this afternoon? And you check in, and there's four buttons. And it's basically high energy, low energy, unpleasant, or pleasant. And you
Mm-hmm.
pick one, and then all these different
Oh,
choices
wow.
on adjectives, right? So it really helps you start identifying how you're feeling, because that's something that I struggled with. And
Mm.
then you can enter in it's wonderful. It's very quick. What are you doing? Who are you with? And what environment are you in? And you start
Oh,
to see trends as to what's making you feel good and bringing you up and what's making you feel bad and bringing you down. So that's something that anybody can do today for free. So I would
wow.
recommend that. Yeah.
That's an
That,
excellent recommendation. That's awesome. And I did want to say, because it popped into my head, but then it went away again. But there's also, and I do have this, I bought this several years ago, and it's packed away in one of these boxes here. It is the Emotional Thesaurus for Writers.
oh, I love it.
And when I saw that and I started like flipping through it, it's like, yeah, I think I need this.
Yes. Okay. Love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Betsy, where can people find you? How could the listeners get a hold of you? How can they find out a little bit more about your 501c3,
Sure.
where they can buy the book, et cetera, et cetera? And your program. So,
Okay.
just tell everybody
Perfect.
where they can do that.
So anything to do with me or my book, I made it very easy. It's just my name, Betsy Pepine. So if you go to betsypepine.com, you'll find out more about me. You can buy my book there. You can buy my course there. There's a free toolkit that you can sign up for. That's all on betsypepine.com. I'm on all the social channels at my name at Betsy Pepine. And then anything to do with my nonprofit is my last name, Pepine, gives, gives.com. And anything to do with real estate is my last name, Pepine, realty.com. So that's how
Mhm,
you find me.
mhm. Excellent. Now, do you have any final pearl of wisdom that you would like to drop on the listeners before we sign off?
Mm, um, I mean, I have two mantras that I keep in my mind at all times, and one is everything's happening for me, not to me.
Mm,
And I truly believe that. I truly believe that. I tell my agents that it's everything, and there's always a learning. I always nothing's ever happening to me. It's this is happening for me, and what can I learn from it?
mhm.
And then my other mantra is just the word next. We have it on our
Ooh.
on our wall in our office, and that's to remind us that once we have that learning from something that's
Mhm,
happened to us, then we move on.
mhm,
We don't
mhm.
stay and dwell and ruminate and wonder if, what if, but just, move on. Next.
I like that. That's really good. My mantra that I cling to is this will not defeat me.
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah. Betsy, it has been an honor to have you on the show. This has been a long time coming. This is, I think,
Yes.
our third attempt, and now everything just kind of like fell into place like I knew it would. So, thank you
Yes.
so much for being on the show. Thank you for connecting with me and reaching out to me so to be a guest. I have loved this conversation, and I love your furry friends in the background, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for being
Oh,
here.
thank you, Cheryl, and happy moving.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that too. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Please share this episode with everybody you know, especially, if you know of anybody, maybe even yourself, who might be stuck in a box. Betsy's got some fabulous techniques and suggestions on how we can all get out of that box and live the life that we were meant to live. And that is the way of the FemiNinja.